So just finished reading one of our latest Mighty Guides entries from Genady, the CISO over at Stewart Title. When he talks about understanding business priorities is key, and I couldn't agree more. You know, Genady spends a great amount of time here talking about performing risk assessments, gap analysis, and then more importantly, putting results in a framework that the organization can understand. And that's so critical, right? Because oftentimes we as security professionals need to make sure that we're communicating not what we think, but what the industry standards tell us. And frameworks like NIST and ISO and CIS are great ways to do that. One of the things I've seen over the years, having talked to multiple dozens and dozens and dozens of both CISOs, chief risk officers, CFOs, and CEOs, is the common theme I've seen is that while frameworks are really, really critical, there has to be a communications mechanism for what the business understands. And so one of the drives that we have at Nehemiah here is to leverage frameworks where applicable. I'm a big believer in NIST. I'm a big believer in the CIS controls. I think they're phenomenal from a technical perspective. However, what I've learned over the years communicating with executives and board members and CEOs is their concern is what they read about in the newspaper outside the scope of security. So for example, if you walked into the CEO of a financial services or healthcare company, they're more concerned about what is ransomware going to do to me? Or what's a denial of service attack? They're very focused on what is the kind of attack that can happen to me and what's it going to do? What's an insider going to do to my organization? What's that crazy new ransomware that's out there going to do to my organization? And I think the reason they're focused on that is because what they have to deal with from a management perspective, from an organizational perspective, is the threat of that attack causing harm to them. Now that's not a piece of malware, it's an attack. And it can be big and complex and involve security frameworks. It can also involve people and process as well too. So the landscape of what we like to talk about here in Nehemiah is in terms of what is an attack going to do to the organization? And then what are the solutions that people, process, or technology can bring to bear to that? Because one of the areas we're taking this, again, after having just multitudes of conversations with executives, is that we want to really see cyber viewed as one of the key risks for the business. And so most large organizations have a risk register that they kind of manage all their key business risks in there. And so cyber needs to fit into that. And the way it fits into that is by communicating its risk in dollars and cents. Now that's not to say that beneath the surface there we're not dealing with a detailed framework like a NIST or an ISO 27001 or even the CIS controls. That traceability down from the top level risk down to the technical control all the way down to the attack that actually makes it up is absolutely critical. And so when Genady wrote this answer to the Mighty Guides, I thought he hit the nail on the head, and I love it because it's a foundational piece for where we're going, but it's also kind of something we've already built upon, and I want to see the market move in a little bit further direction in order to build upon a technical framework like a NIST or an ISO, but then really start to, as an end goal, see cyber risk communicated at the executive level in terms of business risk, so that I'm tying into the risk register or however you manage that. And so I love what Genady did. It was absolutely great, and I think it's a huge thing to be able to build on top of those industry standard frameworks. And so for that, I thank you, Genady. That was absolutely excellent.